Mr. Ronnie.
Yes, and the countries that you mentioned, it's not the only ones with those problems. Even Egypt have, but we don't hear about that. But Syria have in some way, Turkey have, everybody have. And I think we have to be clear in how, if we really want to clear this, we need to put the religion aside from the state. And here's the problem, because some religions have managed to put the religion at home and in church, but the state should be ruled by secular rules made by both religious people and non-religious. In the case in the Middle East, where the biggest religion is Islam, unfortunately, the powers within Islam that want to separate the religion from the state are not strong enough to do it. So the ones that have the power are the ones that want to still keep this mix between religion and state. And as long as you have a state ruled in some way by religious laws like the Sharia, it's very hard to criticize them, and it's very hard to have different views than them. And there you have a problem, because every conflict will be a holy conflict. Same thing that we have now with Hamas and Hezbollah, for example. You can't say that they are wrong, because they will tell you that they have their order from some god or some holy place. So it's very hard, especially for their own Shia people. It's very hard to say that what you are saying is completely wrong, and I don't agree with you, because they take their teachings and their actions in some way from their own holy books. So until we can separate that religion from state, it's very hard.
But this seems to be very difficult. We are living now in the third millennia after the birth of Christ, and it has been many progress in many fields, but especially in Middle East, we can see that there is no big progress, and we also can see that some peoples always are being oppressed, others sometimes, and we know also that the Christianity in Middle East, which is the roots of all Christianity, is now in danger to be vanished in soon. The Christian heritage or fading away bit step by step. And how can we convince, for example, persuade the Europeans or the West that there must be something done to preserve and protect the heritage of Christianity in Middle East, especially in the northern, for example, northern Syria and southeast Turkey, and on the coast of the Mediterranean Sea. That is very important, but we see that nothing is done, and every single stone are thrown away, and soon there is nothing left. Can we do anything to persuade the Europeans, Mr. Casaca?
Well, you know that through history, most of the European history has been also an history of religious hatred and persecution. But fortunately, at least for the last few hundred years, just to give you the most obvious examples, a country like Germany, it is really, or even the Netherlands, it's really not significant to know where are Catholics or Protestants living, and you are really not discriminated because of your religion. But it took a long time to reach this situation. Up to this situation, we had also tremendous wars and oppressions before we reached a state where the religious tolerance would be dominant. And so what I think that is happening in the Middle East is that there are those who want really to put the Middle East completely back in the Middle Ages. and they want to do it in a fanatic way. And this is really the big problem. Of course, that the Middle East never got to the sort of conviviality that we experienced only lately in Europe, and actually it was only with the United States of America, the creation of the United States of America, that we had for the very first time an approach that was really based on a concept of a state where every religion would be respected, which was not many years from now, and I think you are right. I mean, only the respect of different religions can preserve Christianity heritage in the Greater Middle East. But to do it, what I think it's necessary is to fight for modernity and to fight vigorously against the fanatics that really are destroying and are really pushing backwards the whole of the region.
We can see, for example, how difficult it is to implement the democracy in Iraq. It is now 4 or 5 years ago that America entered and invaded Iraq in purpose to change it and turn it over to a democracy. But there has not been so much killing earlier than it is during this so-called democracy.
Well, there is no democracy in Iraq. It's clearly no democracy in Iraq. There is, I think, that there is less democracy in Iraq than nearly anywhere else in the region. You have a completely sectarian government that does things that I mean are really unimaginable all over. I mean, you just have to see the case, which is a very well-known case now. It is. Finally, there is apparently somebody that wants to take this to court of the Ministry of Health that systematically, I mean, it was common knowledge when I was in Iraq, if you would not be affiliated in the same sect of the leaders of the ministry, if you would dare to go to the hospital, you would be killed. And it was not. I mean, it was not a case or two. No, it was by the thousands. Everybody I knew, for instance, when my friend and colleague in Iraq with the Future, when he was murdered in April the 12th, inside Iraqi Parliament, with the obvious complicity of the so-called security services managed by the Iraqi political sister of Hezbollah, Skiri. Well, when he was murdered, several of his colleagues were severely injured, and as they were not affiliated with the Iranian-sponsored party, well, they had to be evacuated. They had to be treated in Amman, over 1,000 kilometers. I mean, nobody would think of being treated in an hospital in Baghdad because they would be killed. So, I mean, calling this a democracy, the problem is that the Western intervention there is really showing that there was no knowledge of the place. The West invited the worst enemies of democracy to take hold of the country. How could a democracy appear there? I mean, they invited people that did things like that with the Ministry of Health, which is not an exception. There is a genocide in Iraq. And this genocide targeted in the first place, of course, the Christians were the very, very first ones to be targeted everywhere in Iraq. They are still the number one targeted communities, and they are as weak and as not to have the capacity to have militias to defend themselves, and they have been really hit very, very hard. Some other minorities as well. For instance, I got very recently desperate demands from help from the Mandaeans, well, Yazidis, for instance, or, well, and even as an ethnic group, the Turkomans faced a dire situation, but actually it was a bit all over. I mean, Iraq is really very important, because it was a tremendous setback in democracy, because the West and those who did it did not understand what they were doing. And of course there was a situation that was not good from the